Mark Stoops. If you will, go ahead and your questions to the raised hands feature, and then we'll call on those after Coach Stoops gives his opening statement. Coach Stoops.
Okay. After reviewing the game film, it was much like I talked about after the game. We did a lot of good things, but too many mistakes. We could talk about it till you're blue in the face, but you can't make critical errors in critical moments on the road in an SEC game, at home or on the road. You can't make those kind of mistakes, and we did. We felt like the majority of the first half we played a lot like we want to play. We had some balance. We were very physical. We controlled the line of scrimmage. Played solid defense, not great. Had some errors there as well, but I think getting the ball in at the end of the first half, if we punch that in, it's a critical moment in the game. There's no question. And the second half, I felt like we certainly got out of rhythm. We didn't play the way we want to play. We had too many 3-and-outs on offense. Defensively, we were giving up yards, and they were controlling it more in the second half. And then we had the couple possessions that I mentioned that certainly swung the game. Once it was a 2-point game, and we made a couple turnovers, and game got out of reach there quickly. So we had our opportunities. I think that's the good news. There's a lot to build from, a lot of good things, but need to clean up the mistakes. That's it. As I mentioned to our team, it doesn't get any easier. When you're playing a schedule like we're playing this year, we got to pick it up quick. We do have to analyze ourselves, and be very critical of ourselves early in the season, because again, we didn't have the any game that out of conference or any game, the spring game or things of that nature to get moving. Got to play Ole Miss this week, and they put up a whole boatload of yards and points against a quality Florida team. So we got to get some things corrected quickly and move on, and that's what we plan on doing.
Okay, we'll begin with some questions. We'll start with Josh Moore.
Hey, Mark, you kind of got into it there. Ole Miss is a different type of animal than Auburn, I would think. From I would guess you want to try to avoid getting into a track meet, and defensively, I think that's the way you guys play it that lends itself to avoiding that. But do you feel like if that were to play out that way, your guys are ready for that?
Well, we have to adapt to any situation. I think we all understand that the recipe that we like to play with to try to give us the best opportunity to win games, but that's certainly not foolproof. We have to adjust. We have to adapt each and every week, and we have to do whatever is necessary to win football games. And certainly starting this week, it'll be much different. Ole Miss, they come in, they play extremely fast on offense. Their quarterback is playing at a very, very high level. In Corral, he can throw the ball all over the place. They have a very good scheme that spreads you out and puts a lot of pressure on you. They want to be balanced, even though they threw the ball for almost 450 yards. They still had balance. They still ran the ball quite a bit and were efficient and had those aggravating yards on the ground. They run a lot of plays and put a lot of pressure on you, so certainly have to be able to control that, and we have to play with a greater sense of urgency with the tempo, because we're going to see it at an extremely high pace. This week we saw some of that last week versus Auburn, and we were good at times, and we were not good enough with our urgency and with our tempo defense. So we have to work on some of that this week.
John Hale.
Mark, Commissioner Sankey got asked last week about transfers within the conference and basically noted that the coaches and the schools have decided not to change that rule. I know Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee has been pretty vocally frustrated about their situation that's similar to what Joey's going through right now. Have you had conversations with other coaches about this situation, and would you be in favor of changing that rule about transfers within the conference in general?
Yeah, I think, I understand both points. The commissioner is correct. When we recruited these student athletes back to our institutions, we knew the rule. But we also understood that the landscape in college football is changing. It's changing every day. It's changing every year. And but I understand both sides, and the commissioner was crystal clear on that, and I agree with him. However, we are trying to get the rule changed, and that's above the head coach's decision. It doesn't matter what we think. We need to talk to our presidents, and our presidents are voting on that. And it's my understanding that we'll have a decision relatively quickly on that. But that's in the president. That's at the president level, and they'll make those decisions. So us coaches can be vocal or talk about it any which way we want. But that's not my style to play out things in the media and publicly. I'll talk to our people, already have. We've already put in our vote on what we want to do. And I do agree with it because I feel like the rule's going to change anyway. In 6 months, you're going to have an opportunity to transfer and go anywhere you want, one-time transfer. And I'm in support of that as well. Yes, I am.
You think that rule change would happen for this season if the presidents vote on that? Is that your understanding?
I think there's a possibility. Yes, I do.
Okay, next is a KSR guest. Is that you, Nick?
Yes.
Okay.
Mark, how would you evaluate the play of your pass catchers Saturday?
Pardon me?
How would you evaluate the play of your pass catchers on Saturday?
Our receivers and tight ends you're talking about? They not good enough. Overall not good enough. There were some good plays. And I feel like there's guys there that will step up, but I don't want to put that all on them as well, because we're about to go into a team meeting here and watch this film, and everybody in the organization can get better, and that group can as well. So I'm not going to put it all on them, that's for sure, because they did some good things, and I thought Josh stood out and had, I want to say, 9 catches, which was good, and Akeem stepped up and had some good catches, and there's some signs in there. We missed Bryce. Bryce has had a really strong fall camp, and he's a big, strong guy that could go a little bit, so we missed having Bryce, and he'll be day-to-day here this week.
Next is Larry Vaught.
Yeah, Mark, could you talk a little bit about how you felt your defense in the front played last week, and again, how important maybe getting some pressure on the quarterback will be this week?
Yeah, one guy stood out in particular, Josh Paschal, really played at a high level. I mean, really good. The rest of the guys showed up at times and did some good things at times. Phil showed a few flashes of doing some really good things, same with Quentin. But overall, we expect more and continue to get more. We were very close on some pressure a couple times. I thought they did a really nice job, and their QB did a really nice job of stepping up in there and hanging in there and throwing the ball. After viewing the film, you do have to give a shout out to Bo Nix, because he made a few throws under duress that were big time throws. But we're going to see that. I could tell you we're going to see it throughout this year. I could see it from Corral this week. Matt, big time arm talent. Could throw the ball over the place, and just watching the crossover, watching Florida, they did the same. So we're going to see it all year. But Bo certainly made some big time throws.
Next is Derek Terry.
And Mark, I was wondering, with Auburn only running 57 plays on offense, it didn't seem like you had to use a whole lot of guys rotating in on defense. I was wondering, how much did that go against the plan that you had? Did you plan to play more guys, basically?
It did go against the plan, in particular in the first half, because we did control the game in the first half. And then the second half we didn't. We had way too many 3-and-outs in the second half. I want to say, counting the punt, the fake punt, 4 or 5 3-and-outs, and that really 5 if you count that one. So that can't happen. That's not going to bode well for us. That's not how we can play and win games in this league. So we have to play complementary football. We have to play good on all sides to have an opportunity to win. We can't be heavy on one side or the other. We have to be balanced and be good across the board. And we didn't play good enough, across the board in the second half.
John Wong, go ahead, please.
Mark, the Auburn fans showed that even in limited capacity, you can still generate a pretty significant home field advantage, even in this situation. How do you anticipate the atmosphere to be at Kroger Field, and what can the fans do to help generate some momentum for the team?
Well, definitely, I agree with you. You felt it felt like a lot more than 20,000. I don't know what was in there, but it felt like a lot more. Hopefully we will have whatever we're allowed to have in there. We'll have those folks in there and create some noise. I think you could supplement that noise with the speaker system and with crowd noise. I know that was a factor, and I want to make sure our folks are doing that here as well, because we're allowed to. I forget what the heck they said. They put the decimal level up to a certain degree and leave that on throughout the game. So I want to make sure we have that as loud as we're allowed to have, because we felt that in their stadium.
John Hale, go ahead.
Mark, it's always easiest for us to see mistakes for defensive backs. So I just wanted to ask you, how did you think Kelvin Joseph played on Saturday, especially the one penalty that obviously got a lot of attention?
Yeah, the penalty's inexcusable. That's I show our players, a football IQ film every Monday, and silly, selfish penalties are on there each and every week. And usually it's at the expense of another team. But it will be on there at the expense of our own team this week, and we can't have that. We won't play that way. But I will say this: he is a competitive son of a gun, and I could work with Kelvin. That's for sure. I thought he did some really good things in the game, and he is competitive and plays it. Made some mistakes. He's going to be rusty like a lot of guys. He hasn't played in a long time, with sitting out last year. So his first competitive action in some time, I thought he really did some good things. There's a lot of good things to build on, and we'll get the other things corrected. That's correctable and fixable, and we'll get that straightened out.
John Clay?
Mark, after looking at the film, how did you think Terry played?
Some good and some bad. Really for the first time playing in live action, I thought he threw the ball well. We had the crossing route open that, he got some pressure, and we need to do a better job of holding up in that pressure, giving him a fraction more. And we got the big play to Josh Ali with the over route there. We just missed that by 6 inches. The same with the long throw on Auburn's sideline. He sees the corner coming off the post route and can make a play on the wheel, and he misses it by probably a yard at the most. So there's a couple big plays out there. Obviously the turnovers everybody sees. That's very noticeable, and we have to get that corrected, and I believe we will. So we'll continue to work, continue to build on it.
Josh Moore?
The turnovers. What happened there on the fumble? Have you talked about that with him? Maybe there in I believe it was the third quarter, maybe early fourth. It looked like he just lost the ball. I don't know. Was there a?
Yeah, there's no excuse for that fumble. Ball was loose. It actually hit his knee. No, yeah, they didn't cause it. It actually, he was a little bit loose with it. It starts with following the design of the play. He should have followed the lead blocker, and we have an opportunity to get the first down. I saw on the field during the game what Terry saw. They had actually, the defensive end had, stunted into the B gap, and so he felt like he can beat him to the sideline. And then he got indecisive with the run. So there was a linebacker there after the D end ripped into the B gap. There was a little lane there. He's either got to try to outrun him or make a move, and he got sloppy, got loose, and can't run the ball that way.
Nick Roush?
You talked earlier about being more critical, and I think some of that's plugging in personnel in the right spots. Do you feel like you found roles for those running backs and how to use them?
I mean, those guys are going to play just like we did. I mean, there's going to be every game, one of you are going to ask me a question, and that's going to rotate just like it did last year. One of them's going to have a big game, and then the next game it may be a different guy. I don't know. Or maybe one of them are going to jump out ahead, but all three of them have some really good qualities and do some good things. So we're not worried about it as much as I guess the media is, or whatever, what their role is. Their role is to help our football team win, and by any means necessary, and they all are doing some good things. And I'm sure each one of them probably wants some more carries, but I think each one of them have a good argument because they're all playing good football.
All right, next is Justin Rowland.
Hey, Coach, you had Horsey and Dotson both see, I think, about the same amount of time at guard. Did you get any clarity in terms of those two playing, or would you say there's both the situation still where you feel comfortable rotating them on a pretty regular basis?
Yeah, we feel comfortable with both of those two rotating. Horsey was injured during camp. It gave Austin some reps, and he did a lot of good things with that. He made the most of it. We feel like we need to continue to play both of them, and we need to rotate some other guys. Coach Schlarm's done a great job through the years of bringing guys along, and we talked about that in our staff meeting yesterday, that he will continue to rotate a few more bodies in there as well.
Next question is Larry Vaught.
Yeah, Mark, just curious, after you got to see the film on that play that Chris was ruled not into the end zone, see anything different that you didn't see from the sideline? Or did you ever get an explanation of why he wasn't ruled in the end zone?
Yeah, I sent the film in. I can't ever comment on what they tell me, and I haven't gotten that back yet. So I'll wait and hear what the official word is, but it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. So until something changes, or somebody holds somebody accountable, we need to move on. What did it look like to me? Looked like he was a yard deep in the end zone.
John Clay.
Mark, do you know Coach Kittman personally, and what do you see as his strengths as a play caller?
Yeah, just a bit. Don't know Lane personally too well, but as a play caller and a coach, he's very good, very talented. He grew up around the game with his father, Monty, being a coach his whole life, and Lane's been around it, very, very talented, and different. You could see Lane adapting and changing, and he is a different coordinator now, and they're a bit different style than the last time we crossed paths, but definitely puts a lot of stress on you.
John Long.
Mark, the lead up to the season, COVID-19 was such a big story. Is there anything that you saw in terms of the protocol on the first road trip that would give you pause or to make you believe that the season wouldn't continue to be played?
No, not at this point, but we understand that situation's always fluid, but it felt like our people did an outstanding job of keeping it safe and keeping our social distance. And it's, believe me, it's not fun, but everybody's inconvenienced, and we will do the very best and adapt the very best we can. But there's some parts of it that are not fun. I want to get in front of that team today and get everybody in there and look at them eye to eye and have a great team meeting like we do on Monday, win or lose, and kind of reset the tone for the new week. But with the way it is right now, that part of it stinks. But it is what it is. We'll go and meet and try to get together in the indoor, but we are spaced out all over the place, and it's different, but it's different for everybody. So we have to adapt and overcome just like everybody else does.
All right, John Hale.
Mark, when Auburn goes for 2 and gets it at the beginning of the game, how does that just change the thinking throughout the course of the game? And obviously, it's not something we see a whole lot, but just how did that play on your mind as you were trying to come back?
Yeah, definitely aggravating. Need to get that fixed on the defensive side of the ball. But that going into it, Auburn is always going to have quite a few tricks up their sleeve and deception plays, and same this week with Ole Miss on offense. Maybe we'll see how it plays out as far as special teams, but you knew that going into the game. But it didn't end up being a factor, but it certainly could have.
All right, last question we have in the queue is from Jeff Drummond. If you have any more questions, you need to get them in now. Jeff Drummond, go ahead, please.
Hey, Mark, I was kind of wondering, have you subscribed to that kind of theory about a team, making that improvement between weeks 1 and 2, and does that still apply if you do to a weird season where you're playing 2 SEC teams right off the bat?
I hope so. It better. I know, definitely, there are, you hear me talk about it every week. Every coach does. You have to take the good, continue to build on the good things that you've done, and get the other things fixed as quick as you possibly can. I heard one of the other coaches, I forget the exact quote, but basically, you just hope to be the team that screws up the least, because everybody's going to screw up. Early in the year, you have to be able to overcome it. When you're a better football team, you could overcome mess ups, because everybody has them. There is a lot going on out there, and early in the season when we haven't played and haven't had a spring game and things aren't normal, it's going to happen. But you have to be able to overcome that. Overcoming adversity is something you're going to see each and every game, and you're certainly going to see it each and every year. We're all having to deal with issues right now, and so we better make some adjustments and make some improvement between week 1 and week 2, or it's going to be the same result.
Okay, we have 2 questions left. This one is John Wong.
Mark, the O-line got so much hype during the preseason. I mean, what do I know? But in 3rd and 1, why not just run behind them, run it down their throats every single time?
You're talking about the goal line play, because that was my call, and again, in hindsight, I would do that differently. I felt like with the option with Terry on that play, could have the ability to run it and could have the option to throw it to the back in the flat, and that there was a mess up by one of our wide receiver on that play that put that other DB in that area, because the back was open. The design of the play was there. The back was open. Terry was throwing it to an open receiver, and there was a body there that shouldn't have been, based on a missed assignment by a wide receiver. So I felt like worst case scenario there, John, we get 3, and we felt like we were doing some very good things at the end of or in that half, and I wanted to go up with a lead, so I felt like 3 points was the worst. If we run it there and get stuffed, you have to get off the field and get your field goal unit in there with no timeouts and kick the field goal, which is doable with 26 seconds. And in hindsight, that's what I would have probably done, to be honest with you. I talked to the staff about that yesterday. So we need to have that opportunity, and I don't disagree with you.
Thank you.
And last one from Josh Moore.
Kind of bouncing off that play there that you were just talking about, and just, it kind of got lost, I think, because of the outcome. But Terry, that was the most pass attempts he'd ever had. We're pretty sure at UK. Just how much was this game just getting him to build up his confidence too, and to be able to make it, put him in a position to make a throw like that, even though it didn't go the way he wanted.
Yeah, again, I think that hurts because everybody sees him throw the interception, but they don't know that the wide receiver shouldn't have been in the area. We brought another body to the party that shouldn't have been there, and but it does, I'm sure rattle his confidence a bit, but there's a lot in that game for him to build on. He did throw, was very effective at times, and again, that goes to everybody. That goes to protection. Just like the play I talked about earlier, we have an opportunity for another explosive play in the pass game that we missed by inches because we had a back, needs to do a better job with protection. Another critical play is on the second to the last drive of the first half, Terry goes through his progressions perfectly, hits the check down that's open. We have 2nd and 2 at the 22-yard line. Instead, we get a holding call. We get backed up, and then I believe we get another negative yardage play, maybe a sack, and are forced to punt. But those are mistakes that when we are in pretty good control of the game, up front, playing physical, playing the style that we want to play, taking our shots. But there's that fine line, and I'm just being truthful. That's where the fine line comes in. We have the ball at the whatever it was, 39-yard line, 40-yard line, starting maybe it was even closer than that because I want to say on the check down, AJ got it to the 20-22. But do you continue to pound it there and play for 3, or do you try to take a shot and go to the end zone and hit a big explosive play? Well, we tried to hit the explosive play and we get the hold. So we've got to get better in those situations.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining us today. We concluded the news conference, and we will see you after practice tomorrow.